Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Craig Burley and Stevie Nichol, who are chomping at the bit to talk about Kylian Mbappe's future. Of course, it all went off last night as we went to air. Kylian Mbappe writing that letter, and that has now dominated the headlines right across Europe. The front page of AS, the Madrid-based newspaper, saying Mbappe puts himself within range. L'Equipe, meanwhile, says Paris hardens the tone with Mbappe. Just a reminder what it said in that letter. The board has been informed since July 15th, 2022 of my decision not to extend beyond 2024, and the letter sent was only meant to confirm what I already told them. La Parisienne then put out a story saying that he wants to join Real Madrid this summer. Mbappe quote-tweeted it with this response: lies. I've already said that I will continue next season at PSG, where I'm very happy. For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we? Sid Lowe joins us. But Frank, I want to start with you in France, because the big question surrounding all of this is why on earth did he need to pen this letter in the first place if it was already known that he wasn't going to renew his contract at the end of next season?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure I've got the answer. That's a tricky situation, you know. You don't want to be spotted in any newspapers, but you make everything to be in it, and that's the tricky question. Of course, PSG is going to react. Of course, they don't want to let him go for free. So they're gonna again react and do something about it. You don't want to see Mbappe going to supposedly Real Madrid for free next season. So you want to sell him to them a year before. So everybody's going to do something about it, react again about something about that. And I don't know why he did that. Why he reacted like that? Because everything he did because of that letter is of course is going to make people think something about it.
Frank, you talk about PSG selling him. Why would they want it? They've never worried about money before. What does it matter now? They're going to want to hold on to him as long as they can to the end of next season and then hope he renews. Like, looking at past exchanges they've had with Real Madrid have offered a lot of money and they've said, nah, we don't want it.
Yeah, but it's just, I would say maybe ego-wise, you know, maybe to not be treated as fools and just make a point. They say, okay, we signed you for lots of money. Now you okay, you want to play one more year, but you want to be a free agent next season. So we're going to make a point and we're going to explain to you that it's not going to work like that. So that's the only explanation for me that you can have, because as you said, last season it wasn't a problem for them to say no to 260 million euros. It's just a matter of egos for me.
He's a drama queen, isn't he?
It just seems unnecessary. This whole thing just doesn't seem like, as Frank said, he's brought all this attention on to himself when it's not necessary.
But it is for him.
You think he wants it? He wants this attention?
Why else do it? Look, he penned a letter on July 15th, 2022, right? He signed a new contract, I believe, at the end of May 2022. So 6 weeks or less after the new contract, he's already telling them he wants to leave. When he was telling everybody else with his nonsense press conferences that it was a project.
Yeah.
And blah, 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 blah. I'll be honest. This just adds to the circus, doesn't it? I mean, the sooner he gets to a proper club in a league where all the top players really want to play and gets on with it, the better. Because we've been saying since last summer and the summer before, he should have got out of there then. And all we heard was the claptrap about how he wants to win the Champions League for PSG and all this sort of nonsense, when really the best thing for his footballing career was to move 2 years ago. Surprised he didn't do it then. Even more surprised he didn't do it last summer, and now we're left with this.
But it's all predictable.
But can I just go to Sid? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Sid, is the kind of strategy here that maybe Real Madrid had a deal in place for him to come next season when Benzema left? Benzema surprised everyone by, of course, now going to Saudi Arabia. So now Kylian Mbappe's seen the opportunity to go a year early?
Well, I think in terms of the letter, one thing that occurs to me, and of course we saw this a little bit with Lionel Messi the first time he tried to move away from Barcelona, is that there's a difference between what you tell the club and having it in writing. So in a way, the letter is really just the formalisation of that process, isn't it? They say, listen, I had to advise you before the 31st that I didn't want to continue, or at least that I didn't want to extend the deal. And so here it is in writing. Everything's clear. In terms of his position, he's now said, as you've already mentioned today, that he wants to stay for another season. I think this is a way of saying to Real Madrid, look, I could be available now. I think it is a way of maybe trying to accelerate that. But also the fact that he's saying that he wants to stay is really about trying to ensure, isn't it, that Paris Saint-Germain are forced to either drop their price to Real Madrid, and in particular, I guess as well, to say to them, don't try and make me go anywhere else. Don't try and make me go to a place that I don't want to go to. I think the departure of Karim Benzema 12 months ahead of schedule does accelerate things a little bit. I think that he's in a position now in which he knows that the only club that he wants to go to, the only club that can pay any really significant money for him in terms of the ones that he wants is Real Madrid. But of course, he wants that money to be as little as possible. Real Madrid, to be perfectly honest with you, I think wouldn't have had that much of a problem with waiting a year. In fact, that was the initial plan. And although Benzema went early, they still would have been in a position where they felt to themselves, OK, this is fine. And one thing's for sure, Madrid are not going to risk putting a foot out of line at this point. This is for Mbappe to put this in a position in which it can be done easily. They are not going to get burnt again, or at least they don't want to be burnt again.
And I imagine that's what the sentiment of the fans are as well. Don't mess with us again. We already got burnt, as you say, the first time round.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, when that first happened, and bear in mind, of course, there were two summers in which Mbappe and Real Madrid were very close. There's 2021, when Real Madrid started offering lots of money for him, and as you've already mentioned, and I think this is a big question, why have Paris Saint-Germain changed their position? In that first summer in 2021, there was an offer of 200 million euros, and Paris Saint-Germain said no, and they took the risk of him walking away for free. In the second summer, in which Real Madrid thought, well, we didn't quite get to the summer, did we? But very nearly, in which we were coming towards the summer, and Real Madrid thought, it's done. He's agreed with us, it's fine. But they didn't actually have it tied down. They didn't actually have a legally binding agreement, but they thought it was done and it had all been agreed. And Real Madrid, and I really can't stress this enough, Real Madrid were convinced it was done. As far as Real Madrid was concerned, it was done. Real Madrid were briefing that it was done. There wasn't the slightest doubt, and then suddenly he backs out. Now, he backs out for all sorts of reasons, and when you think about the kind of pressure that was brought to bear on him on a political level as well as a footballing level, and he ends up staying. But I think, as Craig mentioned, the fact that he signs this letter within 6 or 7 weeks of having renewed that deal shows you that really and truly, even then he was thinking, I'm not sure this is a great idea. Even then he was looking for a way out. And so at that point, Real Madrid have had one summer they tried to buy him and couldn't, one summer where they thought they were getting him for free and couldn't, and now they're thinking, okay, we've had this. We were angry with you, and as you say, Real Madrid fans were angry with you, and a lot of people were thinking, you know what, we should never go back to this guy. This guy can't come again. You can't do this kind of thing to Real Madrid. But the bottom line is he's really, really good at football. And he's the best player out there, and he's the best player on the market. And so there's a degree of reconciliation, a series of conversations, and Madrid back in the position where they think, okay, fine, we wait till 2024. What this really does is change the timings of what might happen next.
Right.